Two tomato plants, the same seeds out of the same packet, pressed into the ground on the same morning, in the same bed, given the same water and the same sun. And yet one of them stands tall as your waist, dark and heavy, the stem thick as your thumb, hung with fruit. The other one beside it is thin and short and tired, holding up three small tomatoes as if they were too much to carry. A man looks at that and he thinks one of them got lucky or one of them got sick. But it was no luck and it was no sickness. The strong one was put into the ground a different way on the very first day, in a way that takes you 5 extra minutes and costs you nothing at all. And the strangest part is this: the man who planted the weak one worked just as hard. He just had it backwards, the same as nearly everyone has it backwards because nobody ever told him otherwise. My name is Chen. In my village, they have always called me Uncle Chen, even when I was younger than some of you. My family has worked the same patch of hill ground for more years than anyone bothered to write down. My grandfather grew tomatoes that the whole valley would walk over to see, and he never once bought a bottle of anything, never read a label in his life. But he knew one thing about the tomato that the seed shops will never print on the back of the packet, and I will tell you plainly why they never print it. There is no money in it. So today I am going to tell you that one thing, and I am going to tell you why it is true, so you are not just trusting an old man's word, but understanding it for yourself. Because once you understand it, you cannot ununderstand it, and you will never plant a tomato the tired old way again. Let me give you the thing that turns the whole matter around because everything else follows from it. Here it is. The tomato is not like other plants. Most plants, the stem is just the stem, a pole to hold the leaves up to the sun, and nothing more. But the tomato is a wanderer at heart, a tropical thing, and it carries a hidden power all up and down its stem. Look close at a tomato stem and you will see fine little hairs on it. My grandfather showed me those hairs when I was a boy and I never forgot it. Those are not hairs. Every one of them is a root waiting to be born. Bury that stem in warm, dark earth, and within a few days each of those little hairs reaches down and becomes a true root, drinking water, pulling food up to the plant. Now sit with that a moment because here is where almost everyone goes wrong. They take the seedling and they set it in the ground shallow, the way you would set a flower, with just the bottom roots tucked under and the whole long stem standing up bare in the air, and they have no idea what they have just done. They have thrown away the most powerful part of the entire plant, all those waiting roots left up in the air to do nothing. They buried the matchstick and left the gold sitting on the table. It is not their fault. It is simply that no one ever leaned over and told them. So I am telling you, you do not stand a tomato up. You lay it down and you bury it deep. But before I tell you the how of it, a word on the when, because a man can do everything else right and still spoil it here. The tomato will not wake in cold ground. Put it out too early while the nights still bite, and it sits there sulking, doing nothing, going yellow at the edges, and you blame yourself when it was only the cold. The roots stay asleep until the earth itself warms, somewhere around the warmth where the soil feels cool but kind to your bare hand, not cold enough to make you pull it back. My grandmother never owned a thermometer. She would kneel and lay her palm flat on the bed in the early morning, and if the ground felt friendly to her hand, she planted. If it bit her, she waited another week. The patient gardener always beats the eager one, always. Now to the how. And here's the second thing the shops will never tell you because this one is free too. Before the seedling ever goes in, you dig deep, the depth of your forearm, and you lay a small feast at the bottom of that hole for the roots to grow down into. Not a bottle of blue powder, things you already have. A spoonful of clean wood ash from the cold hearth. My grandmother saved her ash all winter in a tin for exactly this, and now you will understand why she bothered. The ash carries potash, and potash is the very thing that builds a firm, heavy, juicy fruit instead of a soft, watery one. Then a handful of used coffee grounds, the kind most folk throw straight in the bin. Those grounds keep the soil loose and crumbling so the young roots push through easy, and as they slowly rot, they give up their nitrogen, gentle and steady, and nitrogen is the fuel for green growth in those first hungry weeks. And last, the one I never skip, banana peels chopped small. Chop them fine, the smaller the better, so they rot quick and give up their goodness fast. The peel is rich in potash and in the small hidden minerals a plant craves, and this is the quiet thing that, weeks from now, tells the plant to flower hard and set fruit by the cluster, not one shy tomato at a time. Now hear this, because here is where a careless man does real harm. I do not set the roots straight down onto that bed of ash and peel. Strong food touching tender new roots will burn them. So I cover my little feast with a thin blanket of plain soil, a finger's width, and I pour water in and let the whole drink. The food waits below. The roots will find it in their own time, when they are ready, and not a day before. Then the seedling, and here is the whole secret made plain. I do not stand it up straight like a soldier. I strip off the lowest leaves, the ones that would sit under the soil, because buried leaves only rot. And then I lay the plant in at a gentle slant, almost lying down, so that a good long stretch of bare stem rests in the earth. I cover the roots and that whole length of stem, and leave only the crown of leaves above the surface. And now every inch of stem you buried is turning into root. You have not planted one small root ball. You have planted a whole hidden ladder of roots reaching down into that rich bed you laid. And a plant with twice the roots drinks twice the water and eats twice the food. That, and nothing more clever than that, is why one plant grows twice the size of the one beside it. Then you firm the soil down with your hands, press the air pockets out, because a root hanging in an empty pocket of air is a root that starves, and you water at the base only, never on the leaves. Wet leaves in the cool of evening are an open door to blight, and many a fine plant has been lost to nothing but careless watering. Keep the leaves dry and you keep the sickness out. Now let me say one quiet thing, only so you see the shape of it, not to rile you. Have you ever wondered why the seedling you buy comes already standing tall and shallow in its little pot? Why no one at the shop ever leans over and says, "Take this home and bury it up to its neck"? There is no money in a plant that feeds itself for free from its own stem. There is a great deal of money in a weak plant that needs a bottle and another bottle all summer long. I am not telling you a man schemed this in a back room. No one had to. It simply pays better to sell you the cure than to teach you the plant never needed curing. Once you see the shape of it, you cannot unsee it. And I will not stand here and swear your plant will be exactly double by a Tuesday in July, because every garden is its own creature, and the man who promises you a miracle by the calendar is usually selling you one. But I will tell you plainly, bury the stem deep, lay the feast below, and your plants will come up stronger and bear heavier than the poor shallow things left to fend for themselves. And once you have seen the two side by side, you will not go back to the old hungry way again. The old methods my family kept, there are far more of them than fit in one telling. I gathered the whole of it into a book over at chenwisdom.com for those who want the long version. I will not mention it again. Now I want to hear from you, and I ask in earnest, for I have learned half of what I know from these comments. Tell me below, what are you growing this year? And have you ever buried a tomato stem deep before, or is this the first you have heard of it? And tell me your corner of the world and what your soil is like, sand or clay or good dark earth, because this does the most good in the poorest ground. Next time I will show you the thing my grandfather stirred up in his own kitchen to wake the very life in the soil, the brew that makes a poured cup do what a whole bag of powder cannot. A garden is not a thing you force, it is a thing you feed, down low where the life is, and then you stand back and let it do what it was always made to do. My grandfather knew it. The secret was never in the plant, it was always in how you put it into the ground.